You can be surrounded by people, genuinely, completely surrounded, and still feel profoundly alone. It is a quiet emptiness that follows you, sitting right next to you at a crowded dinner party or in a bustling office. Most people confuse this feeling with being alone. They aren't the same. Solitude is a choice, a deliberate retreat into your own company that can be restorative. Loneliness is the painful gap between the connection you have and the connection your nervous system requires. This gap has become so pervasive that the World Health Organization has officially declared loneliness a global health epidemic. Former U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy identified it as the most prevalent health concern in America today. The physical toll of chronic loneliness is staggering. It carries a higher mortality risk than obesity, comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Yet, we almost never talk about it. Loneliness carries a heavy stigma, framing it as a personal defect or an admission of failure. Because shame makes things invisible, we perform connection while the real isolation remains hidden beneath the surface. Because we mistake the presence of others for the cure, we often treat loneliness as a matter of head count. But connection isn't a numbers game. It is a measure of how seen, known, and genuinely understood you feel by those people. Human beings are the most social species to ever exist. For nearly 300,000 years of our history, isolation was a death sentence. To survive, you needed the tribe. Connection was as essential as oxygen. The brain you carry right now still operates by those ancient rules. Neuroscientist John Cacioppo spent decades studying exactly what happens to the modern nervous system when the survival need goes unmet. Cacioppo found that lonely individuals endure sustained spikes in cortisol, their immune systems weaken, and cardiovascular systems age faster. Inside the brain, chronic loneliness activates the same threat detection circuitry used when facing immediate physical danger. Chronic loneliness shifts the brain into a permanent survival state. The nervous system operates like a cornered animal, scanning for threats rather than peace. This biological hypervigilance distorts how you perceive the world. Instead of looking for opportunities to connect, the brain scans environments for signs of rejection. This flowchart maps the cognitive misfire. Social interactions bypass connection and route directly into threat detection, misinterpreting neutral faces as rejection. The brain retreats into surface-level performance, offering a polite, "I'm fine," creating a feedback loop that drives you deeper into isolation. It creates a tragic irony. Two lonely people can sit across from each other in a crowded room, both actively concealing their hunger for connection, leaving them perfectly isolated together. The biology of chronic loneliness undermines the very capacity for trust and vulnerability required to relieve it. The trap is a mechanical failure of the nervous system, not a flaw in your character. Loneliness is biological information. It is a survival signal, as honest as physical hunger, telling you exactly what your body needs. To satisfy that hunger, you have to know what you're actually craving. Psychologist Robert Weiss identified 3 distinct types of loneliness, acting like 3 specific macronutrients of connection that the brain requires. The first is intimate loneliness, the absence of a close confidant who knows your uncurated self. The second is relational loneliness, the lack of a broader network of friends you can call on a Wednesday afternoon for no particular reason. Collective loneliness involves the absence of belonging to a larger community or cause. These needs are not interchangeable. You cannot satisfy a deficit in one area by overfeeding another. Diagnosing your specific deficit is the mandatory first step to manually overriding your brain's alarm system. Modern life has systematically dismantled the structures that used to make human contact inevitable. Because connection is no longer the default, we have to consciously build it. The first intervention is naming the problem privately to shut down the shame response. Then, reduce the empty calories of connection, the digital substitutes that offer the appearance of community without the physical presence the nervous system actually requires. You also have to place yourself in environments where real interaction can happen. Historically, we relied on third places, like this traditional pub. Today, you must find or rebuild spaces where you show up regularly enough to move from being familiar to being known. While the hypervigilant brain makes the gap feel insurmountable, the most direct way to disrupt the cycle is by reaching out to one person with one honest sentence. Tonight,